यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना यमुना तीरवनचारी यमुना तीरवनचारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन बल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना यमुना तीरवनचारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा काला चंजी राधे जय राधा काला चंजी राधे जय राधा गोविंद राधे जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर जयो जयो प्रभुपाद जयो जयो प्रभुपाद Jayo Jayo Gurudev 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 Jayo Jayo Gurudev Jai Gurudev Nitai Gaur Premanande Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jayo Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jayo Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jayo Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Nitai Gaur Premanande Shri Chaitanya Charitamrit ki Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki Srila Prabhupada ki Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jayo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare Praying at the lotus feet of my spiritual master, our dear most Srila Prabhupada, and all the Guru Vargas, may I speak few words in the glorification of our dear Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for the pleasure of all the Vaishnavas and for my very own purification. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhuve vacha patita nam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo nama mukum karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurun Deenatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Kathanchana smrite asmin dushkaram sukaram bhaved vishmite viparitam syat Shri Chaitanya namami tvam. Things that are very difficult to do become easy to execute if one somehow or other simply remembers Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But if one does not remember him, even easy things become very difficult. To this Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu I offer my respectful obeisances. Right. We are reading Chaitanya Charitamrita every Sunday. Earlier it was Mondays and now it's Sunday. And this is chapter 8. It's a talks between the Lord and Ramananda Rai. The chapter is heavy. The garland feels heavier, so I just took it. It's a very exalted chapter. And Prabhupada, if we get to the point where Prabhupada will also say who is qualified to hear this chapter actually. And so this is little history that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai, they are speaking. It starts with very basics of Varnashram, which is very difficult for us, which was very basic at one point of time, but obvious. It has become it's difficult for us, like the 4 regulative principles. And Mahaprabhu says this is okay. He doesn't say this is okay. He said this is external, say something deeper. And then it comes to prema. And then he starts saying this is okay, go deeper, till Ramananda Rai comes to the point where he starts talking about Radharani, the topmost love, and then it goes on. And right now we are here where we are discussing the mood of the gopis and how the gopis, and from that I remember, I don't know, like months back, Prabhupada was writing in the purport. And of course, the purport, the verses were saying that how is the mood of Radharani. It's always giving. It's not like taking. And this morning I was thinking, like as Prabhu was cleaning the, the bookcases, like the book shelves, and I was thinking, like we all should consider the temple to be our own. But when we consider it to be our own, we don't take things away thinking this is my own. We give ourselves more to the temple than we take things away. It's okay, we take prasadam and things like that, of course. But then when we come to the temple, we do consider this to be ours. So if something is getting ripped off, if something is not nice, we don't think, like how, at least I'm talking for myself, how I used to think we go to a temple, how does it matter to me? It's not mine. But, this is Prabhupada's house, this is, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, I heard it from Haldar Maharaj's class that, I'm just paraphrasing it, I don't remember exactly what Maharaj was saying, but what Bhaktisiddhanta said, and it is like what he was, the crux of it was that to get bhakti, you have to serve in the ashram of your guru. To get bhakti, you have to serve in the ashram of your guru. And what is our ashram? Our ashram, our shelter is Prabhupada's temples, because this is the ashram of our guru. So when we come to the temple, this is our, of course this is our, but not so much to take, but so much to give. To give ourselves, our service, and the mood that, okay, this is mine, this is as good as my house, or better than, it's more important than my house. So that's what I was thinking. And we see the mood of Radharani. She's always sharing the services with others, even if she's the expert. It says in the, the verses that she's the best friend of Krishna. Nobody knows Krishna's heart more than Radharani. Of course, she is manifested from there. She's the Ladini potency. But she doesn't keep it just for herself, like, Krishna enjoys just me, so let him have me only. She doesn't have that mood. She has this mood of giving. And so we see our gurus, that's the parampara that Prabhupada came and distributed to all. We hear Prabhupada's Leela in the morning. In fact, one Mataji was saying that, we should read Leela Amrita to know Prabhupada's mercy upon us. Another day, Mataji was Prabhupada's disciple. She was saying that these people are stupid who think that, Prabhupada hasn't given us enough. But I was thinking more, it's just maybe that we haven't sung enough of Prabhupada's glory. That's why people don't know who Prabhupada is. So it's not them so much being, not understanding Prabhupada. It's we not singing Prabhupada's glory enough that people are forgetting who Prabhupada is and what he did for all the humanity. Prabhupada would not, if you go and hear Prabhupada memories, like we do read books. I was hearing recently, this is called Srila Prabhupada Festival. And they celebrated, which temple? New Dwarka. San Francisco, I think, I'm forgetting. LA Temple, yeah. And they celebrate, and where Prabhupada's disciples will come and share their realizations. And then the last question was asked. There are two parts, and the last question for the second part was asked that, when you read Srila Prabhupada's book, it's so much, you feel it's so stern, 4 regulative principle and this and that, and 16 rounds. Of course, those are. But when you hear the interaction between Prabhupada and his disciples, it's so much personal. So much personal. So how do we understand which one is he? And then one Mataji explained, Ananga Manjari Mataji explained, and then Kusha Mataji explained, like, of course the standard is there, the gold standard is there, but Prabhupada also knew our situation, that where we are, and then he will guide us from there. So of course, like, books are the ideal standard, it will remain forever. But also when we see Prabhupada through his interaction with his disciple, we understand the heart of compassion. This is also his compassion. His books are for rectifying our anarthas. But sometimes the anarthas are so strong, it takes years or births to, get rid of. But Prabhupada never left his disciples. This is memories recently by, it is not a recent memory, but it like what Siddhanta Prabhu, who uploads those videos, who's in charge of that YouTube channel, Prabhupada Memories, he was, he put together on Ekadashis the particular quality of Srila Prabhupada, and it's like Prabhupada being a gentleman, Prabhupada being an expert teacher, and things like that. So this was Indradumna Maharaj speaking about this particular incident, and I think it was in France, and where this, shabby looking, person. He comes and then he comes and he can't even talk properly. And he comes to the temple, knocks the door, and he says, food, food. Of course, Maharaj dramatized this very beautifully. You can go and hear. I would just give you the gist. And food, food, he says, and then they give some food. He's so shabby that they're scared to call him in. He's so dirty. It's like the temple will get dirty if he steps in, because he hasn't taken bath for God knows how many days or months. So he looks so shabby that they'll just give food. And then eventually Prabhupada came. And then Prabhupada was walking one day when he was returning. He used to live in a bush, and he had newspaper and things like that to keep him warm. And then he just touched Prabhupada's feet, and everybody came. He was so dirty that he came over Srila Prabhupada's feet, and they just, shoo him off. And eventually he was inside the temple. And then that time he hugged Prabhupada's leg, embraced Prabhupada's, lotus feet. And then Prabhupada touched his head and started cursing for him and said, it's okay, it's okay. And then he was taken care. He was, made a devotee. And one day he would just clean up. He would go around and clean the temple. And one day when Maharaj was in the Sankirtan bus just for distributing books, this devotee, what was his name? I forgot. He was just sitting next to the, Maharaj's seat. And he said, what are you doing? He was telling that I'm going in his broken language, but his speech was not clear. So he was telling that I'm going for book distribution and things. And Maharaj was like, what will you do? But then, okay, you are there, okay, come, because Prabhupada says, leave him alone, let him be. So Prabhupada showed mercy upon him, caring for him, taking care of him like that, loving him. So they were like, okay, more compassionate towards him now. So said, okay, come. And then he went, he got down, he had his own bag of books. So, and everybody was like, at this moment, a little relaxed. They thought they will go in sometime. By the time they decided to go, he was done with the books. He was done with the books. And then he came back and he said, what do you tell them? And it's not that he was like throwing them or dumping the books somewhere. They saw him like going to people and approaching people and, giving the books. And then Maharaj asked, what do you tell them? And he said, I told them that Prabhupada saved my life. So that's gratitude. And when we feel that gratitude inside, that gratitude come outside, others will get convinced. And that's the mood of distributing books. I don't distribute books. I cannot talk on their behalf, but that's what I got from the story that Maharaj was telling, that much of compassion. And this is also pretty, this is an amazing, like when Giriraj Maharaj tells this story. This is called a Crazy Peter story. This guy, he used to be such a, disturbance to the temple. He will just put his feet like that and sleep anywhere he feels like. Then Giriraj Maharaj wrote a letter to Srila Prabhupada saying, this guy is disturbing us, like what do we do with him? And Prabhupada said, can you not tolerate? So everybody started tolerating. Eventually he moved from, I think it was Boston Temple to New Vrindavan. And then Maharaj eventually forgot about him. And after 10 years or so, Maharaj saw him doing, in the Mangalarti, I believe. It's all in Prabhupada memory, so if I'm making any mistake, please go and hear the correct story. So, and Maharaj asked, who is this? Like, what is he doing here? This is Crazy Peter, because he was so crazy, they called him Crazy Peter. His name was Peter. So like Kirchor Gopinath, he was Gopinath first, then he became Kirchor. So he was so crazy from Peter, he became Crazy Peter, right? So, and then Maharaj asked, hey, what is he doing here, like so many years? And he said, this is Kushakrita Prabhu. And those of you know who Kushakrita Prabhu is. Kushakrita Prabhu is the one who translated many of our scriptures from Bengali, from Sanskrit into English. My Guru Maharaj, Danavir Goswami Maharaj, his books, the Garga Samhita, if you see, it's his name, and then Kushakrita Prabhu's name is there. Even so many shlokas and things, it's been translated by Kushakrita Prabhu. And Giriraj Maharaj says, this is the power of a pure devotee to see who has what talent. All he wrote, can you not tolerate? And that's all the devotees listen to the Guru. And, and how we all benefited from Kushakrita Prabhu. So I was just thinking, the mood of giving, the mood of doing it with others. Bhakti is not so inclusive. It's very inclusive. It's not like it's just mine, me, mine. It is so much about giving. Sometimes even we don't feel like giving, but seeing the mood of the acharyas, seeing the mood of Srila Prabhupada and our Guru Vargas, how we include everybody. Even somebody may not be doing it as perfectly as you do, but still how Prabhupada tolerates, and he still tolerates all of us. So we should also be more compassionate. I'm talking all this to myself, towards others. So this is Ramananda Rai speaking. Go to the verse. Should we? We don't have the TV today. So I'll just read it. The series of verses. I lost page. I'm sorry. Give me a moment. Okay, got it. Basically, right now, as Prabhupada says, I'll read a little bit from the purport. Prabhupada tells this section, that is 245 to 257, are all questions and answers between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai. In these exchanges, there is an attempt to show the difference between material and spiritual existence. So this is the main theme of the section that we are going through, that we see what's material existences and what spiritual existences. This is 246. কীর্তিগণাৎ মধ্যে জীবের কোনো বড় কীর্তি কৃষ্ণ ভক্ত বলিয়া যাহার হয় খ্যাতি 246 Madhya 8. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then asked Ramananda Rai, out of all glorious activities, which is the most glorious? Ramananda Rai replied, that person who is reputed to be a devotee of Lord Krishna enjoys the utmost fame and glory. Purport. The greatest reputation a living being can have is to be a devotee of Krishna and to act in Krishna consciousness. In the material world, everyone is trying to be famous by accumulating large bank balance or material opulence. There is a steady competition among karmis attempting to advance in a wealthy society. The whole world is turning in accordance with that competitive mood. But that kind of name and fame is temporary, for it lasts only as long as the temporary material body exists. So whatever we accumulate, you all are devotees. I need not speak so much about it, but I was thinking, during COVID, I was reading Bhagavad Gita with my relatives and some neighbors. And one thing my aunt will ask again and again, how is scripture, especially Bhagavad Gita, she was asking me, is relevant? How is it practical? And I would tell her, there is nothing more practical than our scriptures, especially Bhagavad Gita. Like it talks about you, everything about you. Like how you are, it talks about not only our gross body. Science books might talk about our gross body, but subtle body it talks to. And which will, and not just this life, the life after life, the one that we crossed, the one that will, come back to, the life we will go to, the past, the present, and the future. So that's what it says, that the wealth that will be acquired in this lifetime will just remain in this lifetime. So you might be famous, very, very famous. Think of any celebrity you might be, admiring, adoring, will be just a celebrity for this birth. This is Prabhupada's conversation where Prabhupada was talking about a particular Prime Minister of India. And he says he's a dog in the Switzerland now. This is material world. You might be a president, a prime minister, or anybody for that matter. You just become a dog next birth. So what's the use of, just, of course, we have to live our material life to keep it together. But there's a beautiful verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. I don't know. This is Pracheta's section, Canto 4. So where, the verse says that, oh Lord, we are in this material world because of our material contamination. Because we have so much of desires, so we are in this material world. And we will remain here, life after life, body after body, and different planets. But in all this, just give us one thing. That is the association of your devotees. We might be taking many, many births and in different bodies, but in all that, please make sure that we get the association of devotees who always sing the glories of the Lord. One may become famous as a Brahma Gyani, as an impersonalist scholar, or one may become a materially opulent person. In either case, such reputations are inferior to the reputation of Krishna's devotee. In the Garuda Purana, it is said, Kalo Bhagavatam Nama Durlabam Naiba Labhyate Brahma Rudra Padokrishnam Guruna Kathitam Mama. In this age of Kali, the fame of one who is known as a great devotee is very rare. However, such a position is superior to that of the great demigods like Brahma and Mahadev. This is the opinion of all spiritual masters. We see again Prachetas, right? Prachetas, they were doing austerities for thousands of years. And this is a story of Prachina Bari and Puranjan's story. So they were doing austerities, and Lord Shiva was very pleased with them and comes and gives darshan. Lord Shiva doesn't come to us and give darshan. So we know how rare it is to have Shiva's darshan. Prabhupada's right in the purport that it's very difficult to get the darshan of Lord Shiva. It's very rare. And so it's so rare to have the darshan of a pure devotee who is completely surrendered to Krishna. And Shiva says there that you are so devoted to Krishna that, he had to come to give darshan of his, and then he sung the Rudra Gita. And as Bhagavad Gita 7:19 says, Sa Mahatma Sudurlava, such a devotee who is so rare, after many, Bahunam Janmanam Ante, after many births. We'll see the entire theme goes on. Of course, Prabhupada explained more, that after many births one comes to Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada also writes in the purport that as soon as you take Krishna consciousness, the one who takes Krishna consciousness, they become very dear to those who really wants to know about Krishna. So, read further. In the Itihasa Samuchaya, Narada tells Pondarika, Janmantaru Sahasreshu Yasasyad Budhir Idrishi Dasoham Vasudevasya Sarvalokan Samudharet. After many births, when a person realizes that he is eternal servant of Vasudeva, he can deliver all the worlds. In the Adi Purana, in a conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, it is said, Bhaktanam anugachanti muktaya shrutibhi saha. The most exalted position of liberation is given by Vedic knowledge. Everyone follows in the footsteps of the devotee. Similarly, in the Brihad Naradiya Purana, it is further stated, Adyapi cha muni shreshta brahmadya api devata. Until now, even the great demigods like Brahma and Lord Shiva did not know the influence of a devotee. The Garuda Purana similarly states, Brahmananam sahasrebhya shastrayaji visheshyate sastrayaji sahasrebhya sarva vedanta paraga Sarva Vedanta Vidkarotya Vishnu Bhakto Vishishyate Vaishnavanam Sahasrebhya Ekanti Eko Vishishyate. It is said that out of thousands of Brahmanas, one is qualified to perform sacrifices, and out of many thousands of such qualified Brahmanas, expert in sacrificial offering, one learned Brahmanas may have passed beyond all Vedic knowledge. He is considered the best among all these Brahmanas, and yet out of thousands of such Brahmanas who have surpassed Vedic knowledge, one person may be a Vishnu Bhakta, and he is most famous. Out of many thousands of such Vaishnavas, one who is completely fixed in the service of Lord Krishna is most famous. Indeed, a person who is completely devoted to the service of Lord certainly returns home back to Godhead. So if you are engaged in service, that's why Prabhupada called our bhakti. If you go in India, you hear bhakti is translated as devotion. But Prabhupada called it devotional service for a reason, because I often say this, that a mother, she keeps saying that I love my child, I love my child, that's not enough. You have to do more than just saying, and it cannot be just lip dip. It has to be heart deep. So you have to take action. When you say I love you, you have to do the action to prove that you love. So that's why Prabhupada just didn't give us bhakti as devotion. He said devotional service, because we serve, and through that service, we prove our devotion. Sorry if the class is boring today. It's a lot of reading. And if you're yawning, I'm sorry. There is also the following statement in Srimad Bhagavatam. Sutasya pumsam suchida samasya navo nanu ajanasa saribhi suribhi ridito arthat tattad gunanu shravanam mukunda padarvindam hridayeshu yesham. After much hard labor, a person highly learned in Vedic literature certainly becomes very famous. However, one who is always hearing and chanting the glories of the lotus feet of Mukunda within his heart is certainly superior. I'll repeat the last one. However, one who is always hearing and chanting the glories of the lotus feet of Mukunda within his heart is certainly superior. Basically, right now we are comparing the wealthy people, the famous people, versus a devotee. In Naradiya Vyuha Stava, it is said, Naham brahmapi bhuyasam tvad bhakti rahito hare tvai bhaktastu kito api bhuyasam janma janmashu. I don't aspire to take birth as a Brahman, as a Brahma, if that Brahma is not a devotee of the Lord. I shall be satisfied simply to take birth as an insect if I am given a chance to remain in the house of a devotee. We know this bhajan by Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Manasa Deho Geho Jo Kichu Mor Or Pilu Tuapade Nanda Kishore. In that, there's a verse, there are 2 lines where, so I was thinking how the acharyas, our gurus, Bhakti Vinod Thakur is such a wonderful, acharya, such a wonderful pure devotee. This time when we went to Mayapur, we also went to Godrumadeep and then went and crossed the Jalangi river. And we saw his house. And we didn't get to sit very long. We were rushing through, unfortunately. And then you go and see his house, the railway track, which actually the railway track, I wanted to, sit in that and feel blissful. But they stopped the service in 2015. So the train, if you know the story, that the British government provided a railway track exclusively for Bhakti Vinod Thakur, so that he can go to work and come back home and no time is wasted. And if you hear his time schedule, you will see you cannot put, like in Bhishma Dev's body, you cannot put a pin when he was lying on the bed of arrows. Like that, if you hear his timing, how tightly packed it is, as an NOD says that a pure devotee never wastes his time. So you can, give a live example, practical example from Bhakti Vinod Thakur's schedule. Like, how he will pack the entire day, either his official work, which is duty bound, but most of it was so much for Krishna. He wrote so many songs, so many bhajans, books, like that. So in that, it's called, I will just those 2 lines. The song is Manasa Dehagaho, and official name, it's called Atma Nivedan Song 3. And it is under the book, he wrote books and this is under Sharanagati. And it says, Kita janma ho jatha tua dash, bahir mukha brahma janme nahi ash. Kit janma ho. Even if I'm born as an insect, jatha tua das, wherever your servant, tua das, your servant is there, may I become an insect there. Bahirmukha Brahma, if rather than becoming a Brahma who is Bahirmukha is who is facing away from Krishna. If a Brahma who is looking away from Krishna, Janme nahi ash, I don't have birth after birth, I don't want to become that Brahma who is looking away from Krishna. But rather I become that insect which is which is going around in the courtyard of a servant of Krishna. So this is the mood. If you see just 2 lines, And it summarizes the entire thing what we are reading in Chaitanya Charitamrita right now with the long purports. And that's why they say the bhajans, the Vaishnava bhajans, are like the capsules. You read that and you get the entire essence of the scriptures in one bhajan and even in one line. So I will read the one that's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. I do not aspire to take birth as a Brahma if that Brahma is not a devotee of the Lord. I shall be satisfied simply to take birth as an insect if I am given a chance to remain in the house of a devotee. There are many similar verses in Srimad Bhagavatam, especially 3, 25, 38, 4, 24, 29, 3, 31, 22, 7, 9, 24, and 10, 14, 30. It was Lord Shiva who said, I do not know the truth about Krishna, but a devotee of Lord Krishna knows all the truth. Out of all the devotees of Lord Krishna, Prahlad is the greatest. So Lord Shiva called Prahlad Maharaj as the greatest. And then above Prahlad, the Pandavas are supposedly more advanced. Above the Pandavas, the members of the Yadu dynasty who are even more advanced. In the Yadu dynasty, Uddhava is the furthest advanced, and above Uddhava are the damsels of Brajadhama, the gopis themselves. In the Brihad Bhamana Purana, Lord Brahma tells Bhrigu, Shashti Varsha Sahasrani Mayatapam Tapah Pura Nanda Gopa Brajastrinam Padarenu Palabhyate Labdhaye. I underwent meditation and austerities for 60,000 years just to understand the dust of the lotus feet of the gopis. I underwent meditation and austerities, Brahma is saying it. I underwent meditation and austerities for 60,000 years just to understand the dust of the lotus feet of the gopis. Still, I could not understand it. To say nothing of me, even Lord Shiva, Lord Shesha, and the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, could not understand it. That's the beauty, that's the devotional level of the gopis, the damsels of the Brajadhama. In the Adi Purana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself says, Na tatha me priyatamo brahma rudrascha parthiva na cha lakshmi na chatmaya chatma cha yatha gopi jano mama. Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, the goddess of fortune, and even my own self are not as dear to me as the gopis. Of all the gopis, Srimati Radharani is the topmost. Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami are most exalted servitors of Srimati Radharani and Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Those who adhere to their service are known as Rupanuga devotees. The Chaitanya Chandramrita 26 gives the following statement about Srila Rupa Goswami. I'll just read it through. I don't know which meter it is. Asmat astam vairagya kotir bhavatu samadhama shanti maitri adi kotir tatvanu dhyana kotir bhavatu va Vaishnavi Bhakta Koti Asmopi Asyana Syat Tad Api Guna Guno Yah Swataha Siddhi Aste Srimat Chaitanya Chandra Priya Charano Nakha Jyotir Amoda Bhajam. The qualities of one engaged in the service of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, such as reputation, austerities, penances, and knowledge, are not to be compared to the good qualities of others. Such is the perfection of a devotee always engaged in the service of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And if you want to understand the mercy of Mahaprabhu, the glory of Mahaprabhu, the magnanimity of Mahaprabhu, go to Mayapur and go around the dham, and you will see where Mahaprabhu has bestowed so much of mercy around that dham. And you go and see when Mahaprabhu gave this deity, it's still there. I don't remember which Dvipa it was, but this is Vishnupriya getting the deity when Mahaprabhu was taking sannyas and Vishnupriya Devi was crying. So he manifested this deity. And isn't it so amazing that you get to see the deity that's been manifested by the Lord himself and given it to his wife to worship. And if you see, the deity is very beautiful. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his hands are like this, and then he is kind of wearing a sari, when the day we went, he was wearing a purple sari with a silver work on it, and wooden deity. You will see most of the deities, at least during Mahaprabhu's time, the deities were wooden. And then we were asking why does his, I think my son asked, why is he, Mahaprabhu is wearing something like a sari. And then the Prabhu was saying, on Saraswati Puja, the Vasant Panchami, he completely dressed like a female. He's completely dressed like a female, and then he will wear the shakha and the pola and everything. He's dressed like a Mataji. Mahaprabhu is dressed like a Mataji. A sannyasi is dressed like a Mataji on that particular day, and that's how he has been worshipped. So if you go and see these places, you will understand, and we sit there and chant, and we try to hear and then meditate upon those stories and the stories that we read in, this history of our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And you go and experience it yourself, you will feel the potency of Mahaprabhu. So we read a long purport with lot of verses. I'll pause here to see if there is anything you would like to discuss. Otherwise, I can continue. My service is to just read. It's a reading class. If you were not sleeping through the class, then you can ask question. You have anything? You have anything? Yeah? Mike?
Hare Krishna. Yeah, such a beautiful purport by Srila Prabhupada here. Glorifying the Vaishnava so thoroughly, quoting verse after verse after verse, describing the glories of the devotees. But at least myself, it's so easy. I've been living in the ashram. I think when maybe if I go into Grihastha and start working outside, then I'll go back to appreciating devotees more deeply. But living in the ashram, sometimes I just become a little too familiar, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always surrounded by devotees, and it's easy. When you're always surrounded by people, it's easy to fault find and think of them as, just regular people. But I think this is a good reminder that to try to be conscious all the time of how glorious and how rare it is to be surrounded by devotees, and how it's such a special opportunity and it shouldn't be taken for granted. But I'm wondering, how can I remember this? How can I keep this consciousness throughout, my time?
Read Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yeah, Chaitanya Charitamrita, I feel it's whenever I read it once a week, because if I have to give a class, that's when I read it mostly. But then Chaitanya Charitamrita speaks about the glories of devotees so much, and the exchanges between the devotees, and one is ready to give life for another, and that's the relationship between devotees. And when Jagat Purush Prabhu was here, he's Srila Prabhupada disciple, his memories are there on Prabhupada Memories. Recently I was hearing, and I said, Prabhu, but I don't have that love for all the devotees. I have that love for only some devotees. And he said, you are just being an individual. So he said, it's okay. But yeah, as we grow older in bhakti, we try to expand that love to more and more and more devotees. And I think, and we also learn things a lot, like when you interact with devotees, their experience. One thing I would say, every time we go to India, I miss Kalachandji like I never did. I want to just come back. I just want to come back and want to have my regular life. It's not boring. It's not boring. I just want to do it in fact, life after life. It's okay. Every day, the same schedule. This morning I was packing my bag for coming to temple. I was thinking, or rather here, pulling out the camera, I was thinking, every day doing the same thing. Take out the camera, take the picture, go down. I try to upload it, but last few months. But anyways, but it's the same thing. When I was in school or while I was working, I was thinking, oh, when will Saturday come? When will Sunday come? But that doesn't come so much when we are, serving the deities. I don't know if he wants to punish me and it gives that feeling, but for my purification. But it's like day after day after day, you see the devotees, Mataji here, says, dressing Kalachandji. And every time she does it, it gets even better than the before. And Prabhupada writes actually that there is no retirement in spiritual life. It gets even better. It gets even better the more you do it. So that's, they say the taste of pudding is in tasting it. So when you do it, you will see it. I may say 1,000 things, but until you experience it, you wouldn't know, right? So that is one thing that, when you go a little away from the dham, you don't see the devotees, you don't see the Tulsi Maharani in your prasadam, and, you don't get to speak. I'm talking about my experience, when you don't get to speak to devotees about Krishna so freely, like they wouldn't scratch their head saying, what are you talking about? And then you come back to the dham. It's a sigh of relief. And that's the experience of many of us, little you go away where it's not the same experience, you will, you will crave so much of the littlest thing that you would have just let it go. And that's when the gratitude comes for us, like, what we are given. And for me, mostly it goes back to Srila Prabhupada, like what he has given us. It's him only who has transformed our life. He has given us this thali. In South India, you get this thali. And you have everything in it, the sour, the sweet, the bitter, everything is there. The papad, the crunchy, the soft, everything pakora. Prabhupada given us at this South Indian thali. And then, so we should be, this is I've heard from many Maharajas class and the devotees, the devotees classes, that gratitude is such a big thing. This gratitude will only keep us amongst the devotees. Of course, we will see the faults, but when we do so, we can pray to Krishna that I don't want to see the fault. Because we are in his body, we will act according to the body. You are in a body of a Mataji, you will act as a Mataji. You will in a body of a Prabhu, you will act as a Prabhu. If you are in a body of a pig, you will act as a hog. Because we are not Krishna, that even if he takes a Varaha Roop, he still remain a Lord. We act according to the body. That's why we are called conditioned souls. Prabhupada did not just coin some terms and gave us in the books. It was so thoughtful. In this, this many years, he could think such terms that, after years of, at least talking for myself, years of bhakti, you will realize, oh, that's what it means being conditioned. Because I am conditioned according to the circumstances. And so many things you will just find out. That's what we are discussing, that you just don't read Prabhupada books once. We don't get much. The more you read, the more we get. But it took me so long to understand what conditioned means. And Prabhupada just gave us the term. Just because Prabhupada gave us the term conditioned, we take it so cheap and we don't try to understand. And then we talk that Prabhupada, we didn't have enough literature on prema. How will we understand that when we don't understand the simple terms? Of course, you might understand. I am talking for me when I find something. And it's like an explosion, eureka. Oh, it means that. So we see that when we bring our entire consciousness to this, that's why our society is called international Krishna conscious, right? But when we are conscious of the blessing and the mercy that we have got from Prabhupada, from our Guru Vargas, from all the Acharyas, it's a whole different game. And does it answer your question? I wanted to share something. It does? So gratitude and prayer. You have something to say? If the question is good, the mic works. I'm sorry.
So the current situation, like as I'm staying in weekdays away from devotees, and only when weekends I get devotee association. So most of my time is surrounded by non-devotees. But there also, so sometimes what happens, I get, because I'm a neophyte, I just recently brought into Krishna consciousness. Sometimes what happened, as you were talking about conditions also, there are so many things, like so many conditions, activities, like, like when I'm getting tortured by my boss or something, like that anger, that frustrations comes out. because it comes out. Like I know that devotees are tolerating. They always tolerate, and they understand that why the other person is behaving like this. Then they're more compassionate, and they try not to act in a like impulsively. Like they calm down them. They calm down and just they understand the situation. But for me, sometimes what happens. Um, I don't understand, like, okay, if you are among devotees, you understand, okay, now because they are devotee, I have to behave nicely, I have to be proper, like, you understand the code of conduct. But when you go there, like in the world, other world where other people are there, non-devotees, you just lose your calm and you behave, you don't behave like a devotee there. So how to bring this balance? Because I'm very under very transition phase, right? So I don't want to be, I don't I want to behave like a devotee all the time, though they are not devotees, but still I don't want to hurt, or I don't want to get hurt also. I don't know how to balance that. It's
What you're
very
talking about, the qualities, is a quality of a pure devotee.
okay.
And so we see, this is Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj's memories, that I think he was a Bengali person, and he arranged everything for Prabhupada in a particular college. It was a Christian college, school. And Prabhupada was talking, and Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj says that everybody was fine. The nuns were listening what Prabhupada had to say. But this person who arranged, who came in the same entourage of Srila Prabhupada, stood up and said, why are you trying to convert them? They have their own religion. Why are you disturbing them? And the devotees, they got, of course, they were like boiling. And it's okay. When your spiritual master is being insulted, you can go and do anything, It's okay. And you should not tolerate the, what do you say, insult of a Vaishnava. So they were really furious, getting angry at this person. Like, he's the one who arranged. Suppose you bring me here and then you start insulting me. It doesn't sound fair thing, right? But then Prabhupada was quiet, and then Prabhupada, next day before leaving, not next day, in few days when Prabhupada was leaving, I think it was in Montreal, Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj was there. So Prabhupada was calling Maharaj and saying, call him also. Mr. Banerjee, I think, I don't remember exactly. And he said, call him. And then Maharaj said, Prabhupada, he insulted you, and you want me to call him? He said, it's okay. I must have had some past, karma with him. So he took it out. So then Maharaj says, and then went down the lane, you see Maharaj been insulted so many times. When Maharaj left his body, we were hearing how Maharaj has been insulted, and he didn't react. And he learned it from Srila Prabhupada live, right in front of his eyes. Somebody just insulted Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, it's my karma. So that's the sign of a pure devotee. Each one of us have our own baggages of conditioning, our own karma, our own baggage of conditioning. We all, the devotee, when you say the devotees are supposed to, devotees are not like, we are not Mayavadi, we are not one. There's so much variety amongst us. All of us, we wouldn't react the same way. Prabhupada is different. Prabhupada is a pure devotee. Right? There's no second thought about it. But some of us, depending, right, like how much bhakti we did our previous birth, where we are starting this birth, accordingly, some of us will get rectified earlier than the other, irrespective of how many years it seemed to be now, because it's a long journey, it's a long race. It's not just one birth, as we understand. It's a long, long race. I'll tell you a story. I don't know if you find the relevance, but I would. It was very nice. 2 weeks back, so 2 ladies knock at the door, and they were trying to distribute Bible, right? So she asked me, if you have time. I said, I was having breakfast, but I said, go ahead. And then she was talking about Bible, and do you know about Bible? And can I tell you something? She was reading from her phone, a few quotes, and I heard it. And first thing she asked me, do you think, I'm trying to recollect what she asked me. She asked me, do you think we can ever be death-free or something like that? And I said, no. And then she started reading how Bible says. And in between, she had an elderly lady with her. I don't know if she was a mother or something. I don't remember the relationship. Like, she asked me, I had a Hare Krishna Maha Mantra on my main door. It's in English. And she said, I see this on your door. are you, and the first thing she asked me was, what's your religion? Do you follow any religion? So I didn't feel very comfortable saying I'm a Hindu. So I said, then she herself asked, are you Hindu? I said, yeah, I said. And then the lady asked, hey, I see this on your door. Are you Hare Krishna? I said, yeah, that's what we are. So it was more comfortable. That's what we were known back then. And then she, as I said, she's an elder. She said, I used to see you guys all the time at the airport wearing those orange clothes. Do you still wear them? I said, we do, but you need qualification to wear them. You cannot just, any random person cannot wear them. You need certain qualification to wear. This is at the door, two Christian ladies talking to me right there across, right on the Beacon Street. This is the power of Srila Prabhupada. This is the prachar, preaching. Like it takes birth, entire birth and birth after birth. So even if you don't see, even if we don't see it, and then she was saying, you know what, I would like to know about your philosophy. I did not tell anything to her. I was just hearing, and I thought I will hear some more time, and then I will say, okay, like, thank you. But she herself asked me, like, I never got to know your philosophy. Do you mind sharing some? Then what else, right? Bhagavad Gita. So I was going on and on and on. And then I said, you asked me if we can be death free. I said, actually we can be, because the soul never dies. And then, why we don't eat meat and everything. So 10 minutes Bhagavad Gita. And it was nice. And she was very, very interested, because I felt she was longing for it. She came to give me Bible, and all glories to it. And every time I would say something, the moment I said meat eating, and I said, I'm sorry if I'm hurting your emotions. So I would I'll put my hands together and say, I'm sorry. And I would say again something. And and again I will say sorry. I said sorry till they left. But then she heard it. She was like, oh, you believe in karma and things like that. She had some understanding. And so I was saying that, you might not see it now, but at the stage where we are, as you said, neophyte, I am also. So what I would say is, pray. Because Prabhupada never distinguished between devotee, non-devotee. Okay, I should be like this to a devotee, I should be like, he didn't have a double face. He didn't have, duality. He was one, a pure devotee to everybody. Like we hear this, Prabhupada goes on a morning walk, and, some other people, non-devotees, were walking by, and they looked at Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, good morning, and all the devotees were surprised that Prabhupada didn't say Hare Krishna. How come, Prabhupada, you didn't say Hare Krishna, you said good morning? But the next day onwards, they started saying Hare Krishna. So that's how you include people. And then actually when I was speaking to this this ladies, and Mahari Prabhu was there at the house, and he was saying, nobody talks to them. Nobody talks to them. So, it's very austere, I would say. This is one of the very austere thing, to be with those who do not practice what we do. But then, as I have heard many, many, many times, we don't take association, we give association. So, like, what's the time? 8:35. Breakfast is at 8:30. Please feel free to help yourself. And that's what I would say. Patience. I don't have much, so I should not be saying much on it. But I would say pray. Whatever I don't have, I pray for it. And our Radha Kalachandji is so merciful. He will definitely bestow this quality upon you. And yeah, try to be a little more. It also says, fake it till you make it. Like, this disciple of Srila Prabhupada, he came and told Prabhupada. They were so nice and free to Prabhupada. One thing I really like, that, he just came and told Prabhupada, Prabhupada, I don't feel like paying obeisances to you. Prabhupada didn't say, okay, it's okay, don't pay, or how dare you don't feel paying obeisances. He said, keep doing it, and one day you will feel like doing it. So fake it till you make it. But of course, we all are, limited in our bandwidth, limited in our capacity, in our mercy, in our love and compassion, because we haven't become pure yet, talking for myself. So in that case, we deeply, deeply pray that may we become that person that Prabhupada and our Guru, for your case, Prabhupada is expecting us to be. May we become that person that Krishna wants us to be. Works? Yes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the wonderful class. You just said we always take the association just like that. Can you please explain it more? We always
say
take.
more on taking association or giving association.
Just said we just take it, we don't give, or something.
Yeah, like like it's says they say that when how do we go when we this is very common question I have heard, wasn't my question as of now. I don't know about future, that when we go to work we meet so many, not school, college, wherever you go and see so many people who are not practicing, have no clue what we are doing, and still we have to be with them. So in that case, it says suggested that don't take association, give association. Of course, as I was saying, she was talking about the Bible. I cannot say, hey, stop, I have a better philosophy than you, so I will talk, you keep quiet. Immediately, she would say, not Hare Krishna, bye, and left, right? So you have to be patient a little bit. I'm not saying I'm idle. Krishna made me work that day, so I worked. There are most of the days when he does not help me and I fail like anything. So that day was a day. I was happy. He wanted to make me happy, so he just made an instrument. But I would say that this is how Prabhupada was. He was very patient. Sorry, you want to add more?
And sometimes when you interact with them, when you try to give your association, they just start to
Living entity.
they just start to speak rascal things about their scriptures, about the guru, about the spiritual master. And how do you react in that case?
They criticize. If they criticize, depends. If it's a family, you tolerate. Other day I was telling somebody, Krishna loves both, the one who tolerates and the one who doesn't. If you fight for Krishna, Krishna will love you. And there is one Mataji who was distributing books of Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada would say rascal, right? So often. So she also called somebody rascal. And that person gave a tight slap to her. Can you imagine? And Prabhupada was so happy. Prabhupada was so happy that she stood for her spiritual master. So, Krishna and our Prabhupada, so long. See, again, I would say, our movement is consciousness. So long your consciousness is not about your sense gratification. It's not you. Prabhupada says in the purport of Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Prabhupada says, we preach not to put ourselves ahead, not to get the glories for ourselves, but we make sure that when we preach, we make Krishna the, what you say, the limelight is on Krishna. Make sure the limelight always remains on Krishna and not on us. So if it's a relative, a very own close relative, you have to tolerate if they are responsible for your livelihood or any other things. And even otherwise, if it's parents and somebody close, you cannot live like that. So you tolerate. And if it's a friend, you can always tell, like I do that I don't like to hear it. If you don't have to say too many things. I teach my son also that just if you don't like something somebody is doing, just say I don't like it. If a normal human being, they will not do it again. You just say one thing that I don't like it, and they will not do it. And if it's a friend, if it's a real friend, wouldn't do something that a friend doesn't like. And if it's not a real friend, why to be with them? Right? We have enough here. 1 or 2 will do for your studies and things like that. And if they say something, if they criticize, you say, I do not appreciate it. If I have a little more close relationship, I would say, I'm talking about personal thing. I would say that the way you don't like your parents to be criticized, I don't like my God to be criticized. I don't like my spiritual master to be criticized. So as I respect your sentiments, please respect mine. And I think most of the sane people will take it. Anybody will take it.
It's like that.
Make sure you don't criticize them then.
So it's like this. So we don't tolerate everyone. We just tolerate our.
Tolerate also you can, you maybe to your close relative you can say even this, that don't do it. I don't like it. I get hurt. Maybe once, twice, thrice, and keep saying it. But then we don't go too violent and then they'll say, what did your Krishna consciousness teach you? You can't tell them what did you teach me, right? You cannot tell them things like that. But you can always be patient as much as you can. I am not very patient person, so you're asking a totally wrong person. I go and fight. But but Prabhupada didn't do it. So from there, I would say that Prabhupada tolerated so many things for us. So we are trying to tolerate as much as we can. Again, we are conditioned soul, but depending on you will be able to measure the relationship, right? Whether you really want it or not. So depending on that, you say things. Make sure it's not too harsh, but also it's not like at certain point in time, so that you don't keep getting hurt. Because that's also not very good for your bhakti, since we are not at that level. Tolerating, it might come out in a certain way which is not very pleasing to yourself or to others. In that case, you can always say, I don't like to hear it. I don't appreciate it. Does it work?
Thank you. Thank you so
You
much.
can talk in person.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Please forgive me for the mistakes that I have committed. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhuvevacha patitanam pavneveyo vaishnaveyo namo namah. If you are here, chant with me, please. Shruyatam shruyatam nityam.
Shruyatam shruyatam nityam.
Giyatam giyatam muda.
Giyatam giyatam mada.
Chintatam chintatam bhakta.
Chitatam chitatam bhakta.
Chaitanya charitamritam.
Chaitanya charitamrita.
O devotees, may the transcendental life and characteristics of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu always be heard, chanted and meditated upon with great happiness. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit ki, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Thank you for your association.